This is Alex Sanginov coming to you live from sunny California, USA. Originally born and raised in Tajikistan. In this session, I will share with you the ins and outs of leading a successful analytics team to run your company by data, with 5 simple components or pillars, including successes and tremendous lessons learned we had along the way, so you can implement these strategies in your company to enable data-driven decision-making capabilities. See you at the conference. Hello and welcome to 5 Pillars of User-Centric Analytics. And my name is Alex Sanginov, Manager of Data and Analytics here at ServiceNow, and I am humbled to have the opportunity to share our analytics strategy, and in particular, how we have broken it down into 5 user-centric pillars that I hope will benefit you as well as your company's journey as you go along in this beautiful data journey. Out of this presentation, what I hope you will benefit is all the pain points that we at ServiceNow have gone through that led us to rethink the entire analytics strategy, ground up. That led us to second point in defining and crystallizing the 5 pillars of the analytics strategy. Last but not least, how do we measure ourselves? Being the data people, we love numbers, and we had to do justice to our own team by measuring our own success. All right, so without further ado, just like anything, we started measuring ourselves and taking a hard look. Where do we stand within the analytics maturity model? This one, of course, one of the comprehensive one we found that breaks it down nicely. As you move higher, you can see you get better results, and you minimize the number of waste and risk that applies to your entire the entire organization. And we were somewhere between 3 to 4, roughly speaking. Every portfolio, of course, is different. Their maturity was different. The stakeholder tenure of that business unit or whatnot. But at the end of the day, we did have some predictive capability, some strategic, advanced. It was a mixed bag. And the major pain point that led us was actually this. The data that we were serving to our stakeholders was not resonating. Now, what's worse, being a data people, and that the products that we built and that we put out there is not being used. Now, we took that to heart, of course, and we asked ourselves, if the strategy remains unchanged, will anyone come to use our products? So we took that to heart, and at the end of the day, we wanted to connect people with data to enable decision-making capability across the entire edges of our organization. So that led us to soul searching. And what I mean by that is we took a hard look and stepped back and identified what was the root cause among all of these imbalance, if you will. And of course, the answer came in fairly quickly and fairly easily, in a way that if we were to go through the end user perspective, not so much as a data person, we were offering 400 plus interfaces, dashboards that offered a different experience across different dashboards, even sometimes different dashboard pages. Now imagine if you land on a website and every single page offers you different menu item on a different location of that page. You would have just left that page and never come back. And that's essentially what was happening with the dashboards that we were producing, with the assets, with the analysis, because each time you landed on a new dashboard, now you had to relearn how to use the capabilities, even though it was produced by one team. So that was a sobering moment for all of us here at ServiceNow, where the changes we wanted to see was quite simple. All our users were asking for is just answer my top 5 questions that I can go on and having a peace of mind, knowing the answer, no matter what it is. Just let me know where I can find easily those data points that I need on a frequent basis. be that daily, weekly, monthly, whatever the business cadence is. And that led us to a ruthless prioritization, going through the backlog, standardizing templates, and leading to the 5 pillars that I'm pleased to share today with you. What essentially followed after that is the trial period and many lessons learned. There were a lot of peaks and valleys in this case. And what the important piece that we transitioned, we applied the design thinking principles into analytics. So first, we began to establishing deeper understanding of our user needs. That led us into defining what should that operating plan be. If I'm a sales rep, what are the operating plans that a sales rep goes through? Opportunity creation, meeting with the customer, making sure customer is happy, deployments, right, from start to finish. What is that journey is like? And at which point do we need to provide what type of data to a sales rep? Now that's just one operating plan. You take sales manager that the managers have and above have different operating plan. Marketing manager, marketing and campaign manager, product manager, tech support, you name it. Everyone has their own operating plan to do their job best, which then took us to the prototyping and of course going to prod. And as you can see, 2018 and 2019, we had a lot of trials and errors. At some points, if you notice the 2 bumps in the middle in 2019, we were to some extent freaking out that, hey, how come for the straight 2 months we're not seeing any uptick? Did we do something catastrophic, right? After seeing a bump, and we course corrected. Those were not fun 2 months of 2019, but it was a great learning moments. And from there on, as you can see, we were on an uptrend. And 2020, we did not stop at all. We had a lot of lessons learned. Now we had the full confidence to go full speed, and we're not stopping here. And I hope you will benefit from this. And of course, we're looking forward to hearing from you on what is the next step. Essentially, did we crack the code? Well, you be the judge. So thus led us to the analytics strategy, or the 5 pillars of the analytics strategy at ServiceNow. First being knowledge graph, and I'll go into each one component more in depth. The knowledge graph that enables all the dashboards connected to one another, like Wikipedia with data. The second is artificial intelligence. I don't have to tell you guys, data people, what that is, right? It's a predictive and foresight that we need to enable across the entire decision-making capabilities and the decision-making processes across the entire organization. Research and insights. It's a specific function that sits within ServiceNow. Analytics and workflow. Again, we say this with humblest spirit. Being the workflow company of the 21st century, we needed to marry analytics to its other half, the digital workflows. And last but not least, the enterprise data platform that essentially empowers the entire strategy to come to life. So this was relevant and important to get the analytics team on board, aligned, so everyone has that north star. What does the future look like? What are we trying to achieve? We also needed to understand and make the strategy relevant to our stakeholders, to the end users. This, got all the data geeks out there, jazzed up. I was, one of them. I'm not going to hide it. And of course, our end users, how would they translate this, 5 pillars, or how would they see it to life? Well, we married all the five pillars among the entire customer journey. This was the language that our end users spoke. This was the language, the customer journey that our end users understood. So we combined the two and made it relevant to our stakeholders, to our end users. So it not only helped us to focus where the problem was, but also understand and anticipate the future use cases to solve for. If we understand that a particular customer goes through a similar customer journey, now we have that frame of reference to go and tackle and narrow down to tackle those use cases. So to bring it all together, we transitioned from just the dashboard building into analytics product building. That led us, once we go live, once we hit production, we're not done. We were just getting started. We treated just like how we would release a major product to the market. Imagine if Uber released their first app and they called it done, or Spotify, right? And now it's a full-blown companionship that anywhere you need a ride, you have the full capability of a transportation. If you need to listen to music, podcasts, talks, what have you, it's all in a single app. And analytics should no be different. And what's more important is it should not be no different than a consumer experience. That is essentially what we are bringing together here at ServiceNow, and that always stays true with the ServiceNow mission, making world of work better for people. Now, taking that to the next level and simplifying it further, the knowledge graph components are three. The first one are persona dashboards. Every single persona, be it CEO, sales rep, account development reps, campaign manager, all the personas that we talked about, will have their own personalized dashboards. The second is activity dashboard to support any business function or business process function, be it quarterly business reviews, monthly project reviews, you name it, customer renewals or whatnot. All those activity-related decision-making capabilities and processes would deserve its own dashboard and its own template. And last but not least, entity dashboard, like customer, partner, sales rep, anything, opportunity, campaigns, events, all those entities will have their own dashboard. And across the entire organization, there would only be one dashboard and one dashboard alone across all of these personas, activities, and entities. So if I'm a marketing manager looking at opportunities, I will see the same view that a sales rep will see about that opportunity. So bringing it all together, it would look like something like this. Again, this may not be a comprehensive list, and you can define what your organization's knowledge graph should and could be. So we followed this from a Wikipedia. If we take a simplest example of Portugal as a country, we can search, and whether I search for Portugal from the United States or somebody else searches for it from Europe or from Asia, we all land into a first starting point. What is important? What is the overview of Portugal as a country on the web? Based on my interest or based on your interest, you can further click down and based on the hyperlinks and further narrow your scope. That same goes applies to other entities like Manchester United as a football team, or we call it soccer here. It should be no different. Now we took this model really to heart and thought, how could we apply this to ServiceNow? How can we transition the Wikipedia for our data? Well, actually, the end user experience and the end results is no different, should not be no different. And this was the first mock-up that we did. And it still gives me a quick flashback of the good memories where we had fun brainstorming on this. As you can see, if we simply start with a customer dashboard, anywhere that you see a partner name, you can click on the partner name, takes you to partner dashboard. If you see a product name, you can click on the product, takes you to product dashboard. If you see an ADR, it takes you there. If you see an upgrade, takes you to upgrade process or activates that workflow, which I'll get to in a second. So this, in a nutshell, came to life. And we realized, wow, this is possible. We can do this. And of course, the end user experience, no one at the company was expecting this. But the moment they realized the benefit, now we cannot imagine living without it. And I hope once you implement, try it out, you will see the benefit as well as everyone else at your company. So this is again so far, the analytics and the data people talk. We needed, tie it back to the customer journey. And as we take every single dashboard, where does that serve within the customer journey? We needed to plot this to make sure that we are solving and we are focused on the right problems at the right buyer's journey stages. All right, and that led us to enabling and embedding the AI capabilities directly into our dashboards. Just like any consumer-grade experience, AI should not be treated any different or separately to any of the solutions that we provide here at ServiceNow. So we embedded all the machine learning capabilities within dashboard in context. Here, an example of the hot prospects that we have that sits directly into customer dashboard. As people are looking through the customer dashboard and the customer details, they can quickly see who are the hot prospects, what are their buying signals, and that we expose and available at their disposal in order to make the most informed decision on penetrating or servicing that particular customer. And we're humbling moments, again, through many trials and error, we were able to get the prediction to 99% accuracy. And of course, this was more the data talk. I believe you get the idea by now that everything that we do has to sit within the customer journey. And every capability, every AI prediction, every machine learning model that we produce has to tie back to the customer journey in order, one, to make sure that we hold ourselves true, not to repeat the mistakes of the past, and two, to make sure that we stay laser focused on servicing our customers first. And of course, that will lead us into the third pillar, the research and insights. This one is an interesting function that sits within the analytics team here at ServiceNow. Some companies, do it slightly different. It could be part of the corporate strategy or one of the business functions. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where the research and insights teams sit. But what's important is what business problems do you focus on to produce from this team. And this function is no different. And matter in fact, research and insights team was the first one who actually produced the customer journey map, which I'll get to in a second, and made that template available to the entire company. That led the 5 pillars and the customer journey to come together. I still remember the fun memories of hackathon, where we had an internal analytics hackathon day, and this team just crushed it with the customer journey. It was so simple, and it was like another nirvana moment, where we pretty much took all the critical business questions that we have to answer as a company, and where does that fall within the customer journey. So we understand what pinpoints to go after and what business critical questions that we need to solve for. And of course, the research and insights team execute based on 3 principles. The first is we need to have, or the engagement model of the research and insights team. The first is we need the executive sponsor, preferably C-level. And the second is committed actions. What is that they're trying to do, right? After the research and insights provides with deep insights. And then the third, of course, is what business question are we trying to answer, right? So based on the hypotheses or the business questions that we come up with, right? What are the committed actions that the leadership team is signing up for. So when we go and do these deep insights, we're able to come up with the concrete next steps, with the recommended next steps, so that the leadership team can make the decision on. This essentially a sample of a customer journey data map that we enable across the entire organization. And of course, due to sensitivity, I apologize for not exposing too much on this, but you get the idea. And we constantly refresh and go back to this customer journey map to ensure that we stay true to our customer journey, and we are continually focusing on solving and reproducing and looking at all these business critical KPIs to ensure that they are still relevant, that they still, at the end of the day, solve what the business is trying to solve for. So coming into analytics and workflows, as I mentioned, analytics was just the one piece of it. Being the defining enterprise company of the 21st century with digital workflows, we had to marry analytics to its other half, the digital workflows. Now let me show you. When we produced our first dashboard, we focused on customer dashboard. Now, at the end of the day, it was still a dashboard. We were producing great signals. We were bringing all that insight to life, but there was no way the sales rep, account teams, or anyone who's looking at those insights were able to take action on this. And we said, well, that's in a way a waste, right? To some extent, because now you have to leave the dashboard. Hopefully you'll remember, right? Because in this virtual world, where there was so much distraction, how do we bring the action taking to the dashboard, straight from the dashboard itself, essentially? Well, not to confuse you, there are three components on this as well. The first is analytics with workflow. We embedded those workflows directly from the dashboard. If you see the customer is coming up for renewal, you can activate that workflow and get it done. You don't need to leave anywhere. You don't have to remember. As long as you use the dashboard, you come to it, it gives you alerts and what action needs to be taken directly from the dashboard. Second is analytics in workflows. As the workflow executes, analytics then comes into picture and guides the workflow where and what is the best optimal way the workflow could be completed. Last but not least, analytics on the workflow. And this one applies to another term called process mining. So as we go and analyze the entire workflows, where are there opportunities, areas of opportunity that we can tackle, that we can improve on? And I'm sure you guessed it by now as well, that these workflows also is no different. And it has to tie back to the customer journey. We need to understand what business processes, what digital workflows, what workflow, in a nutshell, need to be available, need to be built and powered with insights, powered with analytics to make sure we are staying true and we are focused on the analytics and workflows. Because in this digital world, the only way you get the job done is through workflows. And the only way the workflows will complete is through analytics, as we are able to guide it better with intelligence, embedded directly along every step of the way. And last but not least, there are enterprise data platform. Enterprise data platform is the foundation across the entire 5 pillars that enables the first 4 pillars of the analytics strategy, or the 5 pillar of user-centric analytics product building. And we had to also, take a look at every technology that we have here at ServiceNow. We had to take a step back to ensure every technology that we have aligns to solving a particular customer journey along the way. Whether this gave us a quick, again, self-check, unbiased, self-check to ensure that we are solving and we are staying true in keeping, customer in mind first. And every technology has a purpose to it. And across every single technology behind the scene, we keep security in mind, referential data, privacy, compliance, data quality, and of course, self-service and enablement to our stakeholders. So we're not just an IT who provides the intel, but also we want to make sure that we provide quality data, that the data quality is trusted among the entire organization. The privacy is top of mind, as well as security, and we're staying true to many compliance laws across the entire globe, being the global company. And that essentially what led us into the 5 pillar of a user-centric in building the user-centric analytics strategy. I hope this will you will find it useful, and you can implement it in your organization. And of course, I would love to hear from you guys on what you think on and share your feedback. Now, coming into measuring the success of our own, are we on track or not on track? Or how do we even measure the value of analytics? Well, after again many hard sweats and many sleepless nights and trials and error, we came down and narrowed it down to 3 pyramid structure, if you will. This is to some extent industry standard as well, but there are some nuances that are relevant to just ServiceNow. So first and foremost, it was usage. If we are producing a new dashboard, a new asset, are people using it? As you saw earlier, we had a lot of ups and downs as we went through the journey, and it was rocky. And I hope it will stabilize and we continue to push the boundaries of what's possible. And this is the bare bone of the measurement that we do across the entire product set and the products that we build here at ServiceNow from the analytics team. Second is the impact of the asset, the immediate outcome that serves a particular business function needs. If we produce a dashboard to serve a particular persona, a particular activity, or a particular entity, we want to make sure that it is providing the value that we anticipated. If not, did we set the right expectations? Or did we even start with the right business problem? We understand that, hey, we need a customer dashboard. It's a no-brainer. But how do we measure the success of that? Again, to us, it was MAUs, because we want to understand and we want to run the analytics just like a newspaper. Because the more users you have, that essentially means that the message and the product resonates with our users, and that they're able to gain value out of that asset, out of that analytics product. So they will continue to come back to the product. And of course, last but not least, it had to tie back to the company's bottom line. At the end of the day, be it net new account, net new annual contract value, or net promoter score, satisfaction, whatever your company's bottom line is, it has to tie back to those metrics. Because otherwise, remember the customer journey. At the end of the day, if customers are not happy, well, the messaging will trickle down, and so is its impact. So we treat our customers, our end users, just like how we treat our own customers, to make sure that they are happy, they continue to use, and they continue to challenge us Is this, the art of possible? Are we pushing the boundaries hard enough? Are we reimagining everything that we do as an analytics, team, as well as, as ServiceNow as a company? Now, you may ask, why would you, go through all this trouble where you can just, continue to build the dashboard and you let the users, comment on it and be happy? I'm glad you asked. Well, the reason why we went through all this trouble, if you will, and if we call it trouble, we call it, badge of honor, because we wanted to stay true in serving the purpose and connecting data to people to enable those decision-making capabilities, so they can go about their day knowing that they have data reliably to make every single decision in order to serve our customers, in order to do their jobs best. So if anyone has already been there, done that, well, we have good news for you. We are hiring. So make sure to check out the ServiceNow website or ping me on LinkedIn. But wait, there is more. We have been radically transparent with our analytics strategy here at ServiceNow. These are additional publications available if you'd like to learn about more about any of these components of analytics strategy here at ServiceNow. And also, make sure to subscribe to our podcast. We just completed season 1. Would love to hear your thoughts on that. Where we take a deep dive into individual components. We speak to subject matter expertise and the leaders who lead these particular functions and those capabilities to give you more in-depth insight. And of course, be sure to subscribe because season 2 is underway as we speak. And of course, as I mentioned, if anyone has already been there, done that, we're humbly looking for new talent. And of course, be sure to comment. Thank you very much for being an amazing audience. I wish we met in person, and hopefully we'll meet next time. Thank you. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for your questions. I hope you enjoyed the session. We have 2 questions so far, and I'll go down the list. And if there are more questions, please submit them on Slido, and I look forward to seeing you everyone on Ask Me Anything corner. The first question is, can knowledge graph be applied to content strategy? If I'm understanding the content strategy piece correctly, if it's the marketing or anything, at the end of the day, knowledge graph can be applied into anything. As long as you can visualize it, you can build a dashboard out of it, you can produce insights, you can apply the knowledge graph principles to content strategy as well, making each content connected to one another, just like how Wikipedia does, right? And we have taken, as you saw earlier in the presentation, we have done a similar thing with the dashboards. Anywhere you see anything, it's all connected behind the scene in the background. I hope that answers your question. If not, please elaborate further. Happy to add more. The second question was, could you give some examples of the lessons learned, what caused the loss of users during the trial and error period? Happy to. There were so many, but if I had to categorize the lessons learned as a whole, it would fall into the user experience, data quality, and ability to take action. The user experience was the topmost. Simply users did not find it useful. That was the major sobering moment. So keeping that visualization, the type of charts, or it's just reimagining. If you even though we built the dashboard, if we were coming to the dashboard new, like we had no idea what that dashboard does, how would someone understand what that metric is supposed to do? What is that supposed to mean? Right? Because as sales reps, right, that's I'm just picking on sales reps for a reason, because they're always on the go. They always need something to support and make sure to help our customers. So that's why. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what who the audience is. The experience should be consistent and consumer grade. And the second, around the data quality, the data has to be absolutely 100% trusted. Otherwise, the moment they see, something, they'll be like, okay, this is not for me. I don't have time, to waste, to come in each time to the dashboard to get the wrong data. That is a big no-no. I think those who are in the data world can relate to this, dearly. And then the third, ability to take action. If they see something wrong, how will they, take action immediately from that dashboard? So having those, components, we were again back in 2018 and 19, we were still, figuring things out, right? And that was, essentially the part of the lessons learned, where we interviewed, those who consistently came to the dashboard, those, who who didn't come back, right? So we started, as we started, tracking, the monthly active users, the MAUs, more closely. We started interviewing, those individuals who were consistently coming to the dashboard versus those who dropped out, if you will. Then that essentially led us into going back to the users who dropped out, and then reinsuring and regaining their trust, if you will. Again, those were the three categories. Just to summarize, but also happy to chat more on Ask Me Anything corner. If those were the main two questions, if there are more, I'm here, and look forward to seeing and chatting with you all on Ask Me Anything corner. See you there.